All right. Well, I guess we'll get started if Bob wanders in. All right, so Nottingham Budget Committee meeting on, where are we, November 2nd? Call this meeting to order. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And we will go around and we'll do our introductions for people watching on video and our note
Andrew
takers.
Jones, member.
Megan Sabasco, School Board.
Charlotte Fife, member.
John Decker, member at large.
Michael Kelly, Chair. Owen Friend Gray is excused absence tonight, and also Ellen White was going to join us, but she's not able to make it either.
Brent Tweed.
Thomas Butkevich.
Jeffrey Morrison.
Steve Welch, Selectman.
All right. So our next item of business is approval of the meeting minutes from 10:05. We can take a minute and review them. I don't know if everybody's gotten to see all the edits. And then we can,
I was fine with them before the edits, and then
I know that,
The suggested edit to line 75, if you want to clarify, where it says cover the special election, it really should just say cover a potential special election. That was the clarification. There's been people going around saying that we cut the money that they put in there for in case there was a special election. It's like nobody puts money in for a special election.
So do you want to edit the edit?
you want to edit?
Yes, please. Just change the to a potential. Otherwise, I'm good with this.
So on line 75, it'll read, not included in this year's budget was to cover a potential special election.
Yeah, that's much better.
it was
Yeah.
not, okay.
Yeah, it wasn't clear.
I'm sorry, I didn't get them in ahead of time. So on line 140, it's towards the back, Mrs. Sabasco stated that the impact fees for the school expansion could be used. There's no plan at this time officially set in place for modulars, so just if we could change would to could be used to pay for the modular buildings strike they are planning to purchase, and just in the future. It is a plan, but it has not been confirmed at all, so I didn't want it to make it seem like that was a plan in process. And then,
Yeah, how about changing it to considering purchasing in the future?
and that's, yep, it could,
If it's not a plan at all, we should have the word plan out of there, don't you?
right,
think?
well, I was striking they are planning to purchase,
They are planning.
and just to pay for, well,
Modular
could be
buildings in the
used to
future.
pay for the modular buildings in the future, because right now, that is what we are exploring,
Okay.
but there's no plan in place. So if we strike they are planning to purchase, I think that just adjusts it a little.
So
And-
I'll just reiterate it for the note keeper. So line 140 stated that the impact fees for the school expansion could be used to pay for the modular buildings in the future.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's, I think, was the conversation.
Yep.
And then on line 156, just clarification of the way it's worded. Again, could explain why there are so many paraprofessionals and having students in a separate room is not current practice. Just to be clear that,
So the would again to could.
right. I cannot state specifically that an increase in paraprofessionals over the years is one-to-one correlated with this, but could explain why there are so many paraprofessionals, and then strike there can no longer be, and change it to having students in a separate room, and then strike the rest and replace it with is not current practice.
So what does that sentence say?
Yeah, could you just?
Okay, so, the full sentence is, there are also laws that mandate students to be with their peers as much as possible. which could explain why there are so many paraprofessionals and having students in a separate room is not current practice. Does that make it clear? I just wanted to be, if a student actually did need their own separate space to calm down if they were in a fit or something, that actually could happen. But we are not lumping students in a special needs room.
I thought, right, I thought that was to put all students in a, right.
That's what the purpose was, so, we don't have all the special ed students in a separate room. That's not our current practice, so I don't know if that clarifies it or not, but I just,
Having students, a separate room is not current practice. Yep,
okay.
I think that works for me.
So that just is having a separate room for students who don't need them.
It's not current practice.
It's not, we don't actually, there's not a resource room with all the students who are in special education. That's pretty much what that's supposed to say.
Anything else on the minutes?
Move to adopt them as amended.
I second it.
Moved by Thomas Bekavich and seconded by Charlotte Fife. All in favor of accepting the minutes as edited?
Yes.
Aye.
All opposed? None. Special thanks to Alana for getting us these minutes so quickly, too. They're like hot off the press. That's not easy to do. All right. Public comment. Nobody's here tonight. So the agenda for tonight, we were scheduled to review the town default budget. Like I said, Ellen was going to be here. She was going to walk us through it, but Ellen can't make it. So we have, and maybe Steve, maybe you can help us with our packet too. So a couple of things on the default budget. So from what I understand is the Board of Selectmen and the administrators kind of own the default budget. So it's set according to the current tax rate, and we don't really get to vote or amend or change the default budget. It is what it is. So kind of our role as budget committee is to check it for accuracy, and that's about all we can do. They can't, this is from Ellen, I think you guys have a memo in your packet. It says pursuant to RSA 4013, the selectmen shall set the default budget for 2024. Calculation of the budget is outlined in section 9B and is essentially last year's budget adjusted by the following: changes in debt service obligations, contractual obligations, and one-time expenses. So the default budget for 2024 was going up $40,000 due to warrant Article 18. So as far as, going line by line through the default budget, I'm not sure if we have it in our packet or not, or is that this first? I believe this here, what we have in our packet is the proposed. The default budget was on the Excel sheet that I just sent it out this afternoon. So we don't, obviously you can't get something in the afternoon and review it by now, but
I thought,
I believe the default
everybody,
budget is on
everything
that,
was supposed to be in,
is on this spreadsheet.
well,
So
that's
this
what,
is just the proposed is the only column. There's not a default. Is there a default column that you're seeing?
No.
This looks
Not
like
in
the full
this.
budget. And I have a question about the memo. I'm sorry to interrupt. This looks like this was the default and then they're adding the 40,000 from the warrant article. Is that how you're reading that?
Yeah, I was trying
So-
to figure this out, and my guess is
That's-
that because it
Seems
was a
that way.
contract, that the contract continues, and because it's a contractual thing, it gets put in there.
right, so if there's a contractual obligation that was part of a warrant article, it gets moved to the default budget.
Right.
But the question would be, if it was the warrant article, did it say to contract with them for all future years, or was it just to contract for them for that year? Because it only
No.
appropriated money for 1 year.
Right, but it becomes a contractual obligation at that point. You can't, we've went into whatever that warrant, actually, what was it, warrant 18, what was it?
That was the maintenance thing, but surely we didn't write that it would be forever, and we didn't sign a contract with a maintenance company for it to be forever. It would be for like a term of a year or something like that.
Well, have we
Yeah, but
signed a contract with the
That
maintenance
became
firm
part
at
of the
this point?
budget.
We have not. We've
have
had
not. So
somebody
there's no-
come in and
If we haven't signed a
express
contract, then
interest.
There's no contractual
yeah, there's no
obligation.
contractual obligation then.
So was it a one-time expense? So any one-time expenses are supposed to come out.
It hasn't even been spent, is my understanding. If no one's
Yeah.
contracted, then it hasn't been spent and there's no contract, so it shouldn't be in the default budget.
That's probably a legitimate argument.
Is there a reason it hasn't been spent or contracted? People don't do that or what?
I don't know why they didn't hire somebody yet.
Is it like hard to find people?
Well, they were poking around, waiting for the facilities committee.
I think we were kind of waiting for the facilities committee to come in and make their recommendations as to where we start, what needs to be done.
And we did have a job description, which is being worked on now.
It was a mess. I can't argue that, because it was. We've been trying to clean up a lot of messes in town, so unfortunately, this was one of the ones that kind of got put to the side a little bit.
Maybe contracted before the end of
But-
the fiscal year, yeah.
It will be contracted before the end of the fiscal year, and there will be some money spent accordingly. How much, I don't know. I mean, it's like, all of this, I mean, even, we're only looking at what we've spent as of, what's the date of this form?
Well, I guess it depends on what they make for a contract.
1025.
Right, so if they get into a contract with somebody before the end of the year, and it could be a multiple-year contract, then it belongs there, because,
I would
Done it.
I would advise the town not to take a multiple-year contract for
but,
maintenance
well,
people.
but they have that ability based on the warrant article.
On the wording of the warrant article?
Yeah, because it says to contract.
It could be a 1 year.
Right, it could be
Starting-
1 year, it could be multi-year.
Starting tomorrow, going through a year from tomorrow.
Right,
Can we
They can't contract for
Can
more than
we
the amount that
make
they've
an
been
advisement to
appropriated
the
though?
Board of Selectmen
sure.
to make it a 1 year and not a multiple year? I mean, we may not be able to
afford
insist,
it.
but we can
Yeah, that would
say
just
that
be
the
Make a
County
recommendation.
Budget Committee advises that this be a 1 year contract?
Absolutely.
I think an educated guess is that's not going to be an issue.
Yeah,
It will
it's
be a
kinda
1
common
year.
sense,
It
so,
will be a 1
yeah.
year, yeah.
It was only
It's gonna
put
be-
in for
Well, now
1
they know
year.
that we've discussed it.
Right.
Hey, Bob.
No, I don't think it was an issue anyway.
You are not.
Hi, Bob.
I am.
Okay.
I just seen someone outside with a gun and flashlight.
Was it a
Yeah.
They're hunting rabbits.
back here,
They said
probably.
they were looking for you.
They're hunting
Is
baby
he hunting rats or something?
rabbits. It could be.
they're not supposed to be hunting that.
Oh, rabbits?
No, out back. There's lots of
That's
woods out
after
back.
dark.
Dark though,
Oh.
isn't it?
He's
It's
right
been
by
dark
I
for
see
a
this.
while.
Is it a police officer?
It does say for the calendar year, I pulled up the
No,
warrant.
I swear.
Do you have it?
Yeah, it's a
the-
calendar.
he's
The
hunting
language
rats,
says,
R-A-T-S.
raise and appropriate
Nice.
$40,000
There is
for
some
the
rodent
calendar
issues
year of
in the
2023
building.
in order to contract
hear
with the
bangs,
property
it's a good
management
thing.
firm to make repairs.
Maybe.
She's trying to rush in.
Put that,
All right, so it seems like then that based on the wording of the warrant
Standardizing
article,
the town meeting.
that must be some sort of
It has to do with,
But I don't know
I
what it
imagine
means, so it's.
Sanborn at some point.
There's some precedent, I'm assuming Lori or, what's his face, Sanborn? The other guy.
Right, Sanborn's a town somewhere.
The town.
I don't
Oh,
know
it could
what
be
they
that
did,
too.
so I
Yeah.
don't know what Sanbornizing us means.
It's,
It could be wonderful or it could be horrible. It looks like it's probably awful.
But the warrant does specify in, for the calendar year of 2023 is what it specifies in the
right,
warrant.
Yes.
which is why it gets put to the budget,
for,
New Hampshire Municipal Association might have
because of
something
that
on it.
rule.
because
I
of the
think
rule, it
synchronizing
becomes.
is just the
Yeah.
previous ruling
Right.
adding
that-
this sort of
right,
things to the
right.
default.
So
So-
it's the rule that moves it to the budget.
So it looks like this is just the default line,
Yeah.
just this number
Yeah.
with no
Bottom line is it.
background.
All right, well, I guess then Ellen knows there's questions about this one.
Yeah, so I know next week we're scheduled to go over the school default budget. And maybe we can ask Ellen if she could come next week as well. It might be a late night for everybody, but, you know, we could work through the school budget and then we could ask Ellen our questions. or vice versa, if we have just a few questions, that way she doesn't have to stick around till.
This is
that-
the school default budget though, right?
The school default,
Yeah, it
so.
doesn't take as long.
Again, it's fairly quick, because most of it's just contractual, just gives an estimate of what the budget looks like for, we do, I think, know the estimates for some, they should know it too, for like the, health trust is a bigger increase this year, and they should have had that in the default, because they know those numbers.
So maybe we,
One said the town one should be up too,
I think
so.
we're requesting Ellen to be here, is
Yeah,
not a bad
we'll-
idea.
Yeah.
keep a list, if everybody could keep a list of questions for Ellen, and then we'll request that she comes next week to.
Do they typically give anything more than just a number from the town for the default?
We get a whole.
That's
whole
what I was
budget
thinking.
Like
done.
this,
Yeah.
like what the
Yeah.
school does?
Yeah, yeah, because we gotta look at every line just to see if
Just to
every,
see.
to make sure there's not one-time costs that sneak through.
Right, that got
Yeah.
through. Okay.
All right, so line 32. Oh, actually, Sue, I don't know if this was, equipment stuff. So I don't know if this was last year, I assume that this is this year's narrative, but.
It is, yeah, this is not the default budget.
This is this year's budget.
Right, right,
This
no,
is yeah, this is the draft proposed budget, which.
right,
still
but
has some
that's,
work on it.
but that line item would be an item that, would go down, because if they bought equipment or something, that's a one-time purchase. So that should be reflected in, or, pulled out of the default budget. You can't just transition that money into it.
Right. but the-
I mean, we should just wait till we have a default budget instead of trying to find all the one-time
Because
items.
this operating budget is not even at the number that they're saying the default budget is. So I don't, it doesn't seem like it's even close, because this says default budget 2024.
Right, no,
4
it says
million.
this 20, so the 2023 budget number is
Proposed.
4850, 366,
They rolled that whole number over.
which is, right, a
Right,
dollar
we-
off of what she started with.
Then
So,
added 40,000.
and added the 40,000 in, and I'm assuming something should have come out
Some,
because of equipment or something,
typically some things would come out, for sure.
right?
But the proposed budget line, which you're looking at, like,
But would it really, well,
yeah, because it's saying the proposed budget's 4
I mean, it depends on what was purchased.
it was
you know?
spent.
Right, it doesn't matter if it's spent or not, I mean, that's good, it's spent, it should be
Right.
spent. But if you're buying like furniture, for instance, and you don't allocate furniture every year, replacement furniture, if you're buying like new furniture, that's a one-time expense. So, but like computers, if you're buying like 2 new computers every year, and that's what you do normally, then it's maintenance.
But that could be the support fee also.
Right, I don't know. I mean,
Right.
here in this, the note on this one says desktop scanner purchased to alleviate use of BOS copier. So the scanner isn't a normal purchase. I'm just using that for an example because I don't know what's,
I don't think it's all a scanner,
No,
right?
Ellen did,
I think it's
I
mostly
talked to her on the phone, she
support.
did say that some of these notes might not be current.
right,
But overall, typically, you wouldn't take the entire previous year's operating budget and roll it forward
Correct.
as a default. So even these numbers doesn't seem like they'd be accurate.
unless you don't buy, unless there was nothing new bought for
Right.
stuff.
But there would already, some of the things do have increases, like health trust, they did say has an increase, so those things would increase, but
Right.
you can't just roll a budget over from
Yeah.
the previous.
Yep.
I think we really should have like the notes from last year, because those are the ones that are gonna say one-time things versus these are the notes for the new budget presumably. So anything that sounds like
I
a
don't
one-time
know,
item in
yeah.
here,
I don't think,
I think some of them haven't been updated.
okay.
I think it's a work in progress is what it looks like.
wonder if
Yeah.
some are and some,
So I don't really know what we can do with this. If
Right.
we don't have a proper
Yeah.
default budget to go through. We should
Right.
probably just move on to something else.
Agreed.
so this looks like the 2024 budget worksheet.
Draft, yeah.
Yeah.
Working. Yeah, it says some in the memo sheet on the front, some info's been carried forward while others have been updated. So some's old and some's new on the narratives.
Yeah, so without Ellen here, I don't know how we'd make heads or tails of it.
Okay. And I think what you sent was just this.
So that was the second page on the Excel sheet. So this is the first page. Does this look
I can pull it up on.
more like a default budget?
It has
Just those two
data.
columns.
It's, yeah, it's this
first page.
data one.
Yeah.
So it looks like master budget worksheet draft, and it has all the budget lines.
Working budget,
Oh,
period,
but
expenditure.
it doesn't.
No, this just looks
should not
like
be
it's,
touchscreen.
this looks like it's just current stuff. Current to the budget.
Okay. Yeah, currently this looks like a 2023.
Oh,
current.
period expenditures. Yeah.
I do have my computer we could turn on if we need it.
Yeah. None of these say default.
No.
All right.
Default budget, it's kind of. A weird thing anyway.
It's pretty much set by RSA.
The only thing that would really help the default budget is to change it that we would own it. You know, have to put in that warrant article to do that, but then we would have to do it.
Okay.
It's,
You know, that becomes more work for us.
I think we're better off with an explanation
Yeah.
with
exactly.
Ellen coming up. Seems to me the cap number at the end, I mean, you go all the way to the end, the 4% cap number doesn't line up. To me, anyway, offhand.
well, isn't the cap based on raised and appropriated funds, not the total
Could be.
budget line? So it's not quite like a 4% of the budget, it's
Yep.
of,
Either way, they're showing less proposed than last year's budget, so I'm assuming people haven't really worked on this yet.
Yeah,
No, there hasn't.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, she's got some lines that are blank for 2024.
Yeah.
So it's not even showing the 2023
Yeah.
numbers, so there's.
you got some departments,
Yeah.
I can imagine it did not go down.
We're getting missing parts.
no,
Yeah,
By 800,000
draft.
missing parts, so like.
no,
I don't think there's much point in looking at it.
Yeah.
no way. Yeah, yeah, it's like, yeah.
I think we're a little soon for it, to be honest with you.
Move
Go
on.
and make some cuts and.
You might think we're soon, but
No, I know,
Catch up
I'm
really
just saying,
Next
we
week,
gotta do our thing as
Thanksgiving.
a select board to
yeah,
present you,
Yeah.
which I would have hoped it would have been done by now, because
Yeah, well,
exactly.
we
the
did,
time is running down.
and we did submit our
I get that.
calendar.
We've done the other end of it here.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess when we submitted our calendar, I guess we thought that these things would be in order.
We discussed it at that time as to
Yeah.
whether or not it could be in order too.
okay,
That doesn't
Okay,
mean that
but
it
that
is.
doesn't,
Right.
so,
Well, unfortunately, there's a lot of us that are brand new to the board. I mean, there's 3 brand new selectmen and a brand new town administrator, so we're,
TA should be cracking the whip on you guys.
yeah, well, she is.
Not your fault.
No, but
So they don't make the whole budget.
there's a lot that we're all trying to learn.
okay, so, all
All right.
right, what's next on the agenda?
Committee reports or this impact fee document.
Yeah, this is new, huh?
Is that just FYI?
this is FYI. So since we had the discussion about the impact fees at our last meeting, Betsy printed this off for us, or printed the sheet off for us, so
Where's that?
this is the last one.
Oh, this, okay.
This is the impact fee report. And I haven't had a chance to look at it other than on my phone to make sure that it showed up, so. Again, I was hoping Ellen could explain. Steve, are you familiar with the impact fees and how this?
Do you, has anyone read this before? We've seen these before, so so the impact fees, you read them across, and so, the first column's the date, and then the second is, the total amount, and then it breaks it up by the, how each one is, so it's, the first line is 4220 for the school impact fees, 344 for rec, and then the fire department, I don't
Fire
know.
department column looks like maybe that was previous, maybe,
That's
oh,
interesting.
oh, you know
Down
what?
towards the-
It was
it's
amended at a different date.
So then it
So it's the
started,
5, 26,
Yeah.
22.
Yeah.
so, and then, so it shows if it was spent, so for example, the rec ones have been spent already, and then it says the address, and when it expires, so for example, the first one, those funds will be returned on 6/11/2024, whatever's left that has not been expended. And then it goes from there.
So we didn't collect fire impact fees
That is,
until,
I think that's not a
22.
true statement, so.
yeah, because I don't remember ever voting on
And to be
that.
honest, the one we've seen before has been significantly bigger, because, I'm not that fast at math, but I don't think there's $508,000 worth of lines here, but maybe.
What determines the amount of the impact fee? Because I see most of it's like 4,000, but then there's an 8,000.
It's set based on, I think, either the size of the unit, so if it's like a single-family home versus, there's set dollar amounts that go with that. I don't have that information offhand. That's, I think, on the planning board's page on the website, you can probably find that. So they're mostly, I would say, probably single-family homes, so that's why the amounts are typically the same. I would imagine maybe the one on 2019, that's a large one, could have been that multi-unit
Oh, right.
that was built next to the
Stage room.
school, possibly. So
Stage room.
that's when it looks like how many bedrooms or whatever units.
I didn't think we charged single dwelling
Now, we
units.
used to do them for whole subdivisions when they came in,
Right.
and I don't see anything, I don't know whether that's,
Oh, these are
if a
like,
whole subdivision was approved,
These
like,
are-
like 6 or 7 units, then for that, when that was approved, there was an impact fee that went along with the approval of that. Now, this,
But
I
this
don't
is,
see that happening now, I don't see any.
Well, there's a bunch at 23 Sarah Drive,
right, so there's A, D, B, and C.
and then
So
there's
that's-
another group, so there were 8.
Right, so that would be like a condo.
yeah, those are the new ones on offer.
But these are all units, buildings, not any kind of a thing for a subdivision, right?
Right.
No,
Well,
right.
unless there's like, maybe some of the ones here that,
But I could tell you,
stage, no.
Maple
those are
Ridge
just
was
different.
definitely built in this, I don't see any.
Yeah.
of those.
Uh,
So I think things are
Oh, it's
possibly
in Maple
missing.
Ridge, but,
There's a lot of new homes in Maple Ridge.
yeah.
So I'm not exactly sure, but this is, the dollar amounts I would trust are probably accurate at the bottom.
So when this came up, I was wondering, the school's plan to propose buying modulars for an expansion, that's not going on the ballot this year.
Nope.
So it would go on the ballot next March, which would be March of 2025. And then if that passed, would that be spent like immediately? Or do you have to wait until like construction to spend it? Do you know?
So, I'm not sure exactly, because there's a process for us to request the, funds. I believe, typically a March, when you go to vote in March, that's not until really the next, fiscal year, so that would be July, for the school. And then, I'm not sure, because it would have to go to ballot with our intention to use impact fees, but that's no guarantee that we would be granted those impact fees. There's
Yeah.
still a process to request those. So other than we know that the money is there, I think that Facilities Committee has been looking at maybe creative ways, like if that lump sum could be used to break ground and do excavation, and where purchasing could be something else, so.
So a way you could spend
so-
it before they expire?
Spend, yeah, so I think
Excellent,
as
yeah.
soon as we could spend them.
That's what I was getting at.
Yes, so, and we've continued to look at if there are things that could be done even, again, within the building, if there was some construction that would open up a different space that we could reconfigure and use some of the smaller dollar amounts to get that done. But that's always an ongoing conversation.
When do they have to get returned? How far back?
So they go once, I think it's 5 or, looks like 6, after 6 years from when they're collected, they are returned.
So the latest date that any of them seems to expire is 29.
Right. But which is, again,
It's have an expiration, does
I
it
was
show?
looking at
the expiration's at the
column,
last
and
column.
Oh, okay.
The highest number I see is several
Got it.
and 29.
All right, yeah, so, right, so if
Then
they're in
followed by some
chronological
26,
order,
Which is weird.
Are they not in order?
they must be. I
No,
assume-
they are.
They are, but I
They're
would,
in, we've already returned some impact fees already this year.
I was
they
gonna
weren't
say, they continuously get returned.
I was just, all right, I was just wondering what all these X's were next to this, there's like
Shame to
the
turn it
first
back once you
page
collect.
and almost 2 pages have X's next to all the school ones.
Those at home ones, I don't know
Those-
so much.
That might just, I wonder
Oh,
if
that's
that's a
the total,
different
sorry, that's the
column.
total, that's
It
the
looks like
total
a
amount.
different column.
Yeah, I have no idea what that is, that's all.
That X is,
And I was wondering if those were like the past returned ones.
they
or
go
something.
through,
No, we
it
received,
stops at the end of 2021 for whatever reason. And 2022 has no X's.
Right.
Well, the rec is doing a good job spending it.
yes, because those are dedicated to the Marston property. I believe once they've collected a certain amount, then they can, if there's a project that is at the Marston property, those can, be collected and utilized. It's, a little different for the school, because we
Yeah.
don't have a project that is in process.
I think I heard that the planning board was revisiting what departments can spend impact fees. And I think it would be great if we could add police to it, at the very least.
We asked, but
Yeah.
we asked about that facilities committee, who sets that exactly?
Planning board.
It is the planning board.
I believe the planning board initiates the process because studies have to be done.
Yeah, and then it's like that contracted out or something, it's weird.
That's right, there's
It's
an
really
outside
weird.
entity that tell,
Yeah,
but I agree with you, yeah.
Could we get roads on? Could we spend impact fee money on roads?
I believe that if there is an impact fee, I believe there are different things, and roads, I believe, is one option. Again, those are kind of planning board discussions, because there is a large process to setting, because then they determine what the fee would be, and based on a study of the need, and what the impact of,
I think in the 80s and 90s, that's what they were spending the impact fees on, is road improvement. It was based on, you're gonna impact this road that you're living on, and
Yeah,
that's where the money went.
well, it makes sense. I mean, the roads in town are definitely getting busier and taking a beating.
Could you look into that, Steve?
Okay.
just to, definitely read them before, I'm not sure. Impact fees, so if anyone in the future wants to look on the town website, under the planning board, there is a section with impact fees. It talks about the fee schedule, and then, how they came about the school fire and recreation. So there's a document for each one of those. So, they started in 2010, so they definitely, I don't know if the recreation is newer, but the others, I believe.
It's interesting that only the recreation ones have been spent.
Well,
Fire's
on
not doing
this-
Anything new.
right, I mean, fire doesn't have them until,
I believe fires have been spent, and I wonder if they just zeroed out. Fire department, I'm fairly certain, was utilizing impact fees to pay down the bond of the fire station.
Oh, okay.
Annually. So whatever was in that in the end of the year, they were taking and paying down the bond, was the information that I have. So these just may have cleared out, they may just be zero lines.
Zero it out.
So then, starting in May of '22, when the bond no longer was needed to be paid,
Then they start.
then they started accumulating.
Yeah, I'm just wondering how much
Doesn't,
impact fees was going towards the fire department. you know,
It
because-
looks like it's eight,
oh, yeah, because the number, the sum would be that way.
right? So about, it's $800 a home goes to the fire.
So
Oh,
why
it was
did we
800
craft
per
this
year?
bond?
800 per, oh,
That
Well, maybe they're using,
they should have been told not to.
Oh, okay, because we just,
Should have been
800. Then it
convinced
changed to
not to pay off the bond.
736.
because
That
we
was-
have
More
to,
updates.
well,
okay, that's
the-
every year, right?
I'm-
Yeah,
Well,
I'm
per,
not, that was discussed at
residence
CIP
or
last year.
whoever's
I'm
getting
not sure that
charged
was-
for it.
They used the,
One-time
not
fee.
ESSER, the ARPA,
ARPA.
Oh,
whatever
okay.
funds,
one-time fee, I
or
got you.
whatever funds they had in fund balance or something to pay down.
Assess it
Right,
to
so
you.
To get rid
money-
of the bond, but
That
this
was
was
different
paying the
from, you know, we
bond.
threw them in the
right,
warrant
right,
article to
so
pay
the we
bond
used the
off.
money
I didn't
from
realize.
the sale of that property.
Oh, yes,
That's what
that's
we
what it
used.
used from.
No, I know.
And that was a
That's why I-
mistake, because
since we
should-
have this right here.
Right, if we were using
Yeah,
this
we
money
recommended
to pay the
that.
bond, we should have stuck with this.
Because now there's no plan, I mean, they would need to create another plan of what they're gonna use
Mulligan and
this,
fire.
the fire department, but.
Or add police to it, and then the police
Just
could
go right
get.
to the bank.
That was,
That would
that
be
was,
nice,
that
yeah.
was a mistake that
Yeah,
nobody
conservation
advised
would
us
keep-
correctly.
Right. Well, when we talk to the department heads
Mm-hmm.
in 2 weeks, we can certainly visit this with them or
Yeah,
with the TAs, yeah.
okay.
Yeah, but
Just trying to see if these are labeled any differently on here.
I definitely feel like there's some that are.
Was it, you have that email in front of you?
This email?
The email with this,
Mm-hmm.
is what we got sent to us today different?
Oh, I closed it, let me open it again.
You can see it on the computer.
It was the
Versus-
full, right, let me see.
My arms are getting too
I
short.
I don't see any,
There was two attachments. on
Yeah.
just the impact fees, and this is all that it
it
is.
had
There's
the
no
yellow,
tabs or
yeah.
anything.
the- Yeah,
Yellow highlight.
and what about the other document, was the same as the,
The other
This-
document had more information
The
than
master
what we
document
have.
had other, had, the master budget worksheet had, the only other date, it had the operating budget, a tax, the retirement system, health insurance, the tax impacts, and, this data, which looks like current expenditures to date.
okay, so it
But-
had multiple tabs, and,
So that's, we didn't see all of
Right.
that. So there is more information on the budget?
but does it have the default budget in there?
No,
No.
nothing had default.
So,
Okay, well,
Thank you.
How'd you get your computer?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah,
It saves me
you're
from pulling
welcome.
mine out.
Well, I know there are some things that changed in this budget document for the town. Fire chief's salary is going from 11,000 to 70,000.
That's just probably a stipend, right? Because they're not hiring someone full-time this year, is what we were told.
well, I know.
I would
you're-
hope
for
that
next-
that's a
or for next
full-time.
Well, she said they weren't for next year.
Oh, boy. I don't know, it's just, there's parts of this that are updated, and then parts of it are just all
Right.
zeroed out,
So
so.
there's a couple different departments that
Yeah.
went up like 30%. I don't know how they're gonna meet the 4% tax cap. If that's,
Gonna pull more
I
road
wonder if they're
maintenance
gonna
out.
put a
Are we
full-time,
going to have a full-time fire chief? Is that what we're talking about?
full-time chief?
We had a full-time
Well,
fire
we're-
chief.
Eventually, we're gonna have to.
Full-time chief.
No, he was not a full-time chief.
It was not full-time. He was
Not at
still
all.
basically a volunteer.
Right. He worked a lot, though.
So what would you guys like to do? Do we want to,
But a full-time,
through
a
this,
full-time fire
or-
chief doesn't work at the Navy Yard.
I think
I
it
don't
was
think it's
more
got a lot of-
for our personal consumption, because it's
As
just
retirement.
draft.
Yeah,
At least someone retired from there that worked there.
I think it's too
He
far
was
out
chief
of,
while he worked there, then retired. Okay,
yeah, I don't, yeah, I think it's,
anything else we can do?
nope.
yeah, let's set a good agenda maybe for
Next week?
next week, the
This
9th.
is-
So,
Next week, we have a meeting, right?
yep. And what would we like, you know, we'll ask Ellen if she can make it. So we would like to see what, like a full printout of the default budget? Is that what we're looking for? Okay.
Next.
Yeah, something to go on.
Steve, is there a
Well-
chance that will be ready, or
No.
are we waiting for
It
the
won't be
state?
ready until the 19th when we're proposed to send it to you.
No, the the default budget, so not
Oh,
the
the
created
default,
budget.
okay.
But the default
Yep, default should be ready,
alongside
if that's
the
what you're
current,
looking for.
with the columns like this, but along with the current budget, so you can see what's not,
Yep, that's how we
right,
get
that's how it
yeah.
should be.
Right.
Okay.
Right, current budget compared to default budget. Because it should be
With-
additions
yeah.
for, like, contract things, like insurance and stuff like that, that we know is going up. And deductions for one-time
One-time purchases.
expenditures.
And we need all the notes from last year's budget.
Yep.
You can add to those and have like an explanation of why something is or isn't a default.
You guys must have that though, right?
So we might
Somewhere. I
have,
got a
right,
big-
right, so we should probably pull out,
I got a big stack too.
so
Somebody must have it.
so
Somewhere, and new
Yeah.
members don't have it.
we should
Right.
look at
If
our
you
old
have-
notes
Is
from
your full
last
budget in
year.
the
I'm sure the town has it too.
annual report?
It doesn't usually show up with all these wonderful
Oh.
notes. though.
But the
No,
notes are
that's
not
true,
all
yeah,
on it.
But at least you can get it up the annual.
Sounds like a garage door opener.
Start there.
Do they just
Like,
salary
where's the garage?
increases and stuff? Do they have a percentage? I don't know.
Sublet
Town
here.
budget. I don't know.
Okay, so,
Okay.
All right, so what else is supposed to be on our agenda next week?
The
next week
school
was
is-
the school default budget.
School, all right.
You
so-
guys will be okay?
Yes, I believe so. We are meeting Wednesday night after our Co-Brown meeting to see it. We saw a glimpse of it, but we had some recommendations on, we have a new BA, so of how we wanted it to look and see it. So we will be seeing that Wednesday night. So I'm not sure how much in advance we will have that for you, but we will have it out Thursday morning, probably digitally, and then hopefully it can be printed.
Yeah, it can be
The
printed.
default, again, is pretty much, you'll see the lines that, obviously, salary, contractual, those will be going up. Like I said, I think the health trust, we know the maximum, so we put that in there, things like that. But we are going to be talking through it and seeing it next Wednesday. But Thursday morning, it'll be sent to everyone.
Okay.
And then we should have that.
And then I can send it to Kelly and have her print it for our meeting. Okay. And then I'll ask Ellen to come, full default budget, and then what were the specific columns? Just so that we can make sure we have,
So,
As long as it looks
Correct.
like the ones we got in the years past.
so the current budget, the proposed default budget,
current budget.
and.
Line
proposed-
item. Line item.
Yeah, well, yeah, of course, the line item.
Like this, but with default.
Instead of proposed.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, and
That's
whatever
how
That's what we're
applicable,
used to
you know,
seeing, yeah.
if there's applicable notes that we need to kind of say that, all right, yeah, this was adjusted up because the insurance or whatever, or we got an estimate of insurance, or this was adjusted down because we are not buying a new whatever. Or,
All right, do that. Do you mind going second next week if
Sure,
Ellen can make
that's
it?
fine. Yeah.
She can answer our questions, we'll review that.
That's fine.
Since you have to be here the whole time anyway.
I'll stay.
Megan meeting.
Should we start earlier?
I won't be able to make it earlier. You can
Okay.
start without me.
It's fine, just asking.
Anybody else? I mean,
You're the chairman.
I'm the chair. Nope, gotta start at 7,
There
sorry.
you go.
Got the power over here. The default budget, we, it's
It's that
pretty
damn
quick.
gavel.
Stop smacking around.
Nobody's out
So
of
order.
order. Sandra's out of order.
You're out of order.
Okay, so that'll be next week.
That's normal, when I'm out of order.
And then the following week, the 16th, will be the department heads will be here. So we should probably have a clearer proposed budget with all the notes by then for the department heads
yep.
on the 16th.
Can you typically get all the department heads done in one night?
Yeah.
It's fun. That's the best night.
Yeah, it is. It's a good night.
Everyone volunteers to
You
go
guys have
first.
walked. Something wrong with you.
I'm going to see if
Well, they
Carol.
don't
pretty
go
good.
line by line
I have
of
an
their
out-of-town
whole budget.
conference,
They
so-
come and
Summarize.
ask them questions and they
Yeah.
defend whatever we ask about them.
It's just a lot of departments to get through.
Yeah, long night.
It is a long night, but it's quite doable, and it's quite
Okay.
interesting.
It
I'll
is.
say in years past, most of the department heads have done a very, very, very good job coming in here and having all the information.
Okay.
It hadn't
Not,
been
not
done,
just on
I think,
paper
for
right
a
here.
while.
You know, you ask them about this and that and they know.
Yep.
It hadn't been done in a while when we first did it a few years ago, and people came in quite nervous, wanting to know what we were calling them on the carpet, and then they realized that this was just an annual thing,
Yep.
that we wanted to address them and find out what was going on with them, and, so it's gone very smoothly. Since people haven't come quite so uptight about what we're gonna do with them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, any committee reports for tonight?
No, I believe we're having what, the first seat,
14th?
is it the 7th?
Oh, gosh, I don't know.
I thought it was next Monday. Is that the 7th?
I have the 14th in my calendar. so. The 7th is next Tuesday.
So are we meeting next week?
Yes, next Thursday, we're
Next
meeting.
Thursday and the 7th, right, we're
Yes,
meeting.
we
The
are,
ninth.
And then the
yes.
14th
Thursday
as
the
well?
ninth.
Thursday the 9th.
Thursday the 9th, right.
Right,
16th.
and then the following Thursday, so we meet
And
the
then the
next two
following-
Thursdays,
yeah. We're-
then we have Thanksgiving.
And then it's every Thursday for a while there.
I don't have much to report in the school facilities. Boiler's up and running.
That's a plus.
They've installed the sock filter, treatment for incoming water. The contracting company threw that in to help the school out and make sure that everything was good. Other than that,
When you say throw it in, at no charge?
yeah,
Well, I mean, there was a large charge.
it was
for
included, yeah, it was.
With the purchase.
boiler.
No.
They put it in with a boiler install. Some stair treads being
They added that
redone.
part.
I'm meeting back with them on November 13th in case anybody has any questions or wants to know anything.
So what did you, a sock filter you said? They wouldn't put like a water softener or anything?
It
Treated?
has a water softener for the incoming shot, and then
Okay.
it has a shot feeder, and then they have a sock that works on the system side of the boiler pumps. So any sediment or scaling or anything else that's inside the existing piping gets caught and it gets,
It's almost like a hot water, you're supposed to drain that every year to get the sediment out of the bottom.
it's more or less like a sediment filter.
Okay.
So it's on the mains.
It's for the heating system only.
Yep.
It's closed.
It's good to put on a
Oh,
brand
absolutely.
new system like that, so. Want to keep it clean, keep it running good.
Yep. Water quality is a big issue.
Besides that, I got nothing else.
New business?
Motion to adjourn.
Seconded by Brent. All in favor of adjourning?
Aye. Play us out with a gavel.
Yeah,
Meeting's adjourned.
nice.
Use it.
Right, well,
Use it or lose it.
I know.